Proud supporters of Africa this week. Engine, with us, you are number one.
Hello and welcome to this edition of Africa This Week, your wrap of what happened across the continent. I'm Mashudu Masuta. South Africa's Black Management Forum has promised to leave no stone unturned in its efforts to level the playing field in the country's business landscape. The business formation announced a slew of new initiatives at its 35th AGM held in Johannesburg. Producer Buntu Williams prepared this report.
South Africa's Black Management Forum has revealed it will be approaching the government to give greater powers of enforcement to the country's Black Economic Empowerment Council in an effort to speed up transformation in the South African business landscape.
The BE Advisory Council, we feel that it's actually not working in terms of transformation. It's been constrained in the way it's been set up. It's just an advisory structure. It's not doing what we thought it was supposed to do. So what we're then going to do is to approach the president and ask that this BE commission becomes a full commission, which is a Chapter 9 institution, so that it has the powers, it also has the staff that is able to monitor all these BE and flows and deal flows and in the transformation space. That is one of the most important things that have come up that we are also going to canvass with black business.
At its 35th AGM held in Johannesburg, the organization committed itself to challenging government to repeal the Preferential Procurement Policy Framework Act. The organization says the act is not conducive to participatory business practice for black businesses.
We now have the triple PFA review that is effective from the 7th of December. As Black Business Council, as BMF leading the agenda, but under Black Business Council, we have said that we are going to engage the Minister of the Treasury, Mr. Pravin Gordhan, to talk about the issue of the triple PFA, which we feel should be repealed. And if that does not work, we really need to go the whole hog. I mean, if it means a legal challenge, it should be a legal challenge.
Amongst resolutions taken at the AGM, BMF has set itself the challenge of tackling South Africa's inability to produce skilled workers. To do so, the organization hopes to co-opt its CEO forum.
Gas will soon emerge as an energy commodity of choice as an alternative to oil across the world's markets. This emerged at the launch of the Sasol Sustainability Report for the year 2011. Producer Buntu Williams was there.
Gas has been growing in importance already for the last 20 years, but I think there's a new realization which has even further underpinned that view, and that's the environmental footprint of gas. And I think oil, miraculously enough, still gets a higher unit price in the market for the reason that when you find oil, you can produce it easily, you can put it in a tanker and you can ship it into a market and somebody will buy it. With a gas project, you need to not only develop the gas field, but you need to put it into a pipeline, and you need to you can only develop it if at the end of that pipe there's an off-taker. Yeah, so oil is almost like you can go spot, but with gas you need to have a whole project from what we call the oil and gas field all the way down to the market. And that's why gas fields in general take a longer time to develop. But clearly the versatility of gas in terms of that you can use it for power generation, you can make chemicals of it, you can, and particularly in Sasol, we can make synfuels of it, you can make clean transportation fuels, makes it of course far more versatile.
To illustrate the potential of gas, Abby Hahn cited North America's trends in gas trading.
In a 10-year period, North America changed from import to almost like export. Now, if you just would be able to replicate it in South Africa, I think for the nation that would have a ginormous value.
But the move to monetize gas in South Africa has proven controversial on grounds of environmental impact.
The shale gas opportunity in South Africa is high risk, and it could have high reward, and that's why we have taken a position there. Our acquisition in Canada is actually low risk and very good reward, and that's why I also put a lot of money down for that. But I would always argue, what if the South African shale gas opportunity is as big as some of the opportunities as they have developed in North America?
To meet the challenge of climate-friendly efficiencies, Sasol has embarked on a range of efforts to reduce its carbon footprint while producing its own energy.
Now, if we can have access to low-carbon electricity compared to high carbon electricity that is produced today from coal in South Africa, we can reduce our carbon footprint in South Africa by about 10 million tons per annum. And this is why we embarked on building a gas to electricity facilities. The first one was in Secunda with the gas turbine project, and the second one is what we're busy with right now in Sasolburg, is to use a gas engine technology to do with a similar result.
Bringing gas into the country is not only to the benefit of Sasol. Our customers have been switching from burning coal to burning natural gas that they got from Sasol. By doing that, they reduced their emissions by 2.3 million tons per annum. So it's not only to the benefit of Sasol, it's also to the benefit of the country as a whole.
Sasol strongly believes the move into gas will offer a unique business proposition for the organization as a whole.
As an oil company, we are going through a massive growth journey, and it underpins also the strategic view of the group that we want to own more of the resources like gas and oil, which we can create a value chain for what we call downstream monetization, because once you have the gas molecules, you can turn it into power generation, you can make chemicals of it, you can make GTL, you can make transportation fuel of it. And I think we've come to the realization that we want to be a far more integrated energy company, which goes all the way from the source to the end product and consumer.
The Africa Enterprise Challenge Fund, which invests in businesses wishing to implement commercially viable and high development impact projects in Africa, has launched 3 new competitions to encourage business innovation and investments in the form of grants and interest-free loans. Hugh Scott, Director of Africa Enterprise Challenge Fund, explained the challenge's objectives.
There are 3 competitions that we're running. The first one is a competition for the whole of Africa. It's called the Agribusiness Africa Competition, and that is for innovative business ideas in agribusiness, the whole of the agricultural value chain and the services related to that value chain. What we provide is between $250,000 and $1.5 million to the winners of this competition. We expect, when we aim to get at least 200 or 300 applications for this competition, and we have about $17 million available. So we aim to fund about between 10 and 14 or so, maybe a little bit more, of really exciting, innovative projects in agribusiness. The key is they've got to be commercially viable, number one, and they've got to have a large development impact or an impact on the incomes of large numbers of people living in rural areas in Africa.
Okay, Hugh, let's define commercially viable, because here's the problem we have in agriculture. Although it is the largest contributor to GDP, most people employed in the sector, the kind of activity we find there is smallholder, small-scale farming. Commercially viable means economies of scale, large plantations that already exist in Africa but controlled by a niche group of interest. So if we're looking for commercially viable, it's really the players who already dominate the space, who already have access to funding.
I don't think it's quite like that, actually. Remembering that we operate right across the continent of Africa. Currently, we have about 87 investments across Africa in 17 different countries. And particularly, we work in difficult countries. We're launching a second competition that I wanted to talk about, and that is in the newest country of Africa, South Sudan. And that is particularly for agribusiness in South Sudan. As you know, agriculture is probably one of the more risky sectors. But at the same time, it's the rural areas of Africa where most of the poor people live. And trying to promote and encourage investment in Africa's rural areas is one of the key ways to make a difference to large numbers of poor people and increase their incomes.
What sort of funding do you provide as the AECF once you've identified projects? Because some people in the agro space would say to you, the biggest risk they have to incur is land ownership, because the laws are varied across Africa. Sometimes there are no property rights. Others say what they really need is consistent funding in the input side of things, fertilizers, irrigation, that sort of thing.
Basically, we cross the whole of the value chain in agriculture, everything from production through to input supply, output markets, We also support financial services that facilitate those value chains. We're also seek out and look for exciting and innovative projects in the information space. We're just about to start a new project actually that is going to produce a TV series which may be of interest to you. That's going to be called Shamba Shape Up, which is a program based about it's edutainment, shall we say, to demonstrate the improvements that can be made on smallholder farming. Just to broaden it a little bit, we also not only fund agribusiness, and we have a competition for that across Africa, as I mentioned, we also have a competition for South Sudan in agribusiness, as I mentioned also. But the third of our competitions, which is also very exciting, is called REACT. And that competition focuses on innovative ideas in renewable energy, and even more importantly, on exciting new business investments that will help small farmers adapt to climate change.
After the break, more stories making headlines this week.